Good evening and welcome back to the Rory Talks Football channel, your daily Arsenal news updates, debates and my opinions. If you are new to the channel, please do subscribe. We're on the way to 12,700 subscribers. And of course, if you could click the like button, I would be incredibly grateful. I hope you're all doing very well. It's a Friday. The weekend is here. The football is here. And we are all having a good time. There's loads of you here. We'll talk about Mikel Arteta's press conference, injury updates, contracts, new contracts, and predictions for the weekend. But Lord Ferguson of Aberdeen, Anu Brata, Hyper, Icarus, Vivi Vlad, top player, Guno, Saliba, Emilio, Leeds Gunner, Ross Lawman, Jakob Spacetime, Ryan, Carter, Philip, Hannah, Jakob, Manny, Ian, Junior Films, Jay, Ross Lawman, Pekka. It is good to see you all. I hope you're all doing very well. Which fullbacks do we have available? Well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the fullback situation and what's going on with that. Late, imagine my shock. I'm always on time. Always on time. No matter what. No matter what. But yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about this Thomas Partey news, which is quite interesting. Like instant reaction to seeing it was like, oh. But then you actually think about it, and I don't think it's too bad. But look, we'll talk about it, see what you think as well. I got named twice today. What a day. Congratulations. Congratulations. We have 7 fullbacks. We've got 7 fullbacks, and we might be in a position where Thomas Partey's playing at right back again. Wow. PTSD. Okay. Time is a flat circle. Exactly. 6-0 tomorrow, 5 in the first half. We'll take it. Do you know what? It would be nice to get our first kind of proper big win of the season. Last year we had a fair few of them. It would be nice to get a big, comfortable win on the board, which I thought we were going to get against Leicester, to be honest, once we were 2-0 up, but it never quite happened. Will we do any meaningful transfer business in January, or will it just be opportunistic purchases? I think it will only be opportunistic purchases, right? But there may be some of those in January this year. I do think there are clubs that didn't sell players in the summer that maybe they wanted to. So it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. Rambo interview was class, but this is football. We need to put 5 past him at least. Yeah, Ramsdale did an interview with the BBC. And do you know what? Like, I love Ramsdale. I really do. And he was completely respectful, completely acknowledged. He was like, look, last season, of course, he wanted to fight Raya for the spot. And he tried his best. He said it did frustrate him when anything would happen and the camera would pan to him and get his reaction to it. He said that frustrated him. But he said, look, he tried his best. But realistically, you look at it this season, you can't exactly say that the club got it wrong. Like, David Raya has been unbelievable at the start of this season. So, he's respectful. And, yeah, outside of tomorrow, I wish him all the best. Tomorrow, I hope he has the worst game of his life. But outside of that, I do. I really hope he does well. And I hope, I really hope his career recovers because, to be honest, I think he's going down with Southampton. That'd be the 4th relegation of his career, which doesn't really show how good a goalkeeper he is. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Went and watched highlights of the 3-0 versus Southampton and saw Rambo give the ball away in the first few seconds. Made me happy we have Raya because he would never do such a thing. Well, don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. But yeah, no, that was a classic Ramsdale mistake, to be fair. Love Rambo, but Raya's honestly been a top 5 goalkeeper in the world this season. Oh yeah, easily. He has, yeah. But look, we'll crack into Mikel Arteta's press conference. First of all, we'll get that out of the way. We've got the injury news from Mikel himself. So Timber, White, and Tomiyasu's fitness. We had to modify training for a lot of players. We've done the same today because of the load that they had. So it's a decision to make this afternoon, whether to involve them, yes or no. They are close, and Tomiyasu as well is quite close to being involved. So good news. Now, at this point, it's like, okay, so what do you do? What do you do at this point? One of them, I reckon, will be fit enough to play. Now, Timber is not in the Dutch squad for the international break. So Timber will not be going on the international break with Holland. That is ideal. That is absolutely ideal because, as Arteta has said, Timber has played more minutes than we wanted to him at the start of the season. Like, off the back of the ACL, off the back of not playing much last season, really, Timber it's not been good to play Timber as much as we have done, right? And Arteta knows that, but injuries have kind of forced us to do it. So, yeah, ideally, Timber doesn't go on the international break, but is fine. And it may well be that Arsenal have said to the Netherlands as well, like, look, he's played a lot of minutes. It is not in his best interest to go on the international break. With Tomiyasu, again, like, we just don't know if he's back or not, really. We won't know until we see him. It is possible we've been hiding him so that the Japanese FA don't call him up. Ben White is the one where, for me, I feel like if we really need a right back, Ben White will step up. But we've seen it before. Ben White, even if he isn't fully recovered from whatever the current injury he has is, Ben White will stand there and say, I'll play tomorrow. Don't worry. Don't worry, boss. I'll play. So I think one of those three, at least, will play tomorrow. If they don't, and this was a little thought experiment we had on Twitter earlier, who goes at right back? Let's say, for argument's sake, none of these three are available. Who goes at right back? Now, a lot of people saying Thomas Partey. I don't think the mental scars of that have recovered for me. So that's a no from me. Then people say, well, probably Calafiori and Kivior. And logically, I think that is probably what would happen based on the fact that we did it against PSG in the second half. I said I wouldn't mind playing Josh Nichols, right? I wouldn't mind playing Josh Nichols. Now, I'm not saying Josh Nichols is good enough to be starting in the Premier League. I'm not saying that it would be a better option necessarily than Calafiori. What I'm saying is, he looked decent against Bolton. Yes, physically he still looks a bit immature. But what an opportunity it would be to give him. Like, realistically, if you put Josh Nichols at right back and the rest of the team is our best team, if it's Raya in goal, Nichols, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Rice, Partey, whoever, Waneri or Trossard, Saka, Havertz, Martinelli, we should be beating Southampton anyway. So I think it would have been a cool opportunity. Now, it's probably not going to happen. It's almost certainly not going to happen. But I couldn't believe how angry people get. My God, there's people in the replies as if I've just disrespected their mother or something by suggesting that Josh Nichols play. Some people's anger issues really need sorting out, to be quite honest. But no, in reality, I would expect the solution would be Calafiori at right back. I just think that's what we would do. But I'd rather see Calafiori at left back because I've been really impressed with Calafiori at left back so far. So I quite like to see him there still. But yeah, overall, look, I think one of these three is going to play anyway. I think one of these three will be fine. Nichols should be given his debut if all of our first team right backs are out. Exactly. Why not? Why not? Nichols gave the ball away multiple times in stupid positions, made the wrong choice more often than not, physically not prepared. I think that's a bit harsh. He gave the ball away a couple of times. A lot of the time he was trying to do something ambitious, which I rate. Physically not prepared. I don't necessarily disagree with that, to be fair. But again, like, you know, it's Southampton. They're not a massively physical side anyway, to be honest. Southampton are an interesting one, to be honest. We'll talk about it and how I think the game's going to go. But Southampton's, like, their style of play is interesting for a club that's just been promoted. And obviously they've not had a good start to the season. But I disagree. Would much rather Cala at right back and MLS at left back. Oh, yeah. Look, if Calafiori's at right back, do you know what? I'd actually consider MLS at right back. I'd consider Lewis Skelly at right back and Calafiori at left back. Miles Lewis Skelly is very comfortable on both feet. From what I've seen from playing in midfield, Lewis Skelly is a lot more comfortable on both feet, even compared to Calafiori. So I probably wouldn't mind playing Lewis Skelly at right back and Calafiori at left back. But again, that would be interesting. Fans hate Nichols getting minutes tomorrow is awful, but first fans to complain we don't give youngsters a chance to develop. There is a problem with that. There is a problem with that. Like, yeah, people don't want to give minutes to academy players unless they're at the level of Waneri and Miles Lewis Skelly. but then complain that we've not had anyone come through the academy into the senior team in the last 3 or 4 years. And it's like, well, yeah, we've not had a talent anywhere near as good as Miles Lewis-Skelly or Waneri in the last 3 or 4 years. So it's difficult to please. Look, I mean, the reality is we're talking about people that are just permanently unhappy. People that are permanently trying to find a reason to complain. But MLS, yes. MLS, yes. Yeah, I think there's quite a few. Is Miles left-footed? Yes. Yeah, Lewis-Skelly is left-footed. But he's you can see it when he dribbles. He dribbles with both feet. It's always a good indication of someone being comfortable on both feet. Are the reports true of Jorginho becoming a coach after the season? That would definitely make the Partey re-signing make a lot more sense. Yeah, there have been talks about I don't know if he's fully ready for that yet or if he'd still want to continue his playing career. Because he will still be at the age where he could continue. Yeah, he could go and ball out in the MLS for a couple of seasons if he wanted to. But yeah, long term, his plan is to go into coaching. And he actually said a couple of years ago, he really had no ambition of going into coaching. And it was working with Mikel Arteta that really convinced him that that was what he wanted to do, which is pretty cool. The fact that White has been so injured to miss Bolton, Leicester, PSG games and probably tomorrow, but he played 45 minutes against City 2 weeks ago when injured, just shows what a warrior he is. Yeah. People don't understand. And I think he was playing through that injury from January onwards last season, by the way. I think this is the same injury. So, yeah, whatever he's been playing with, clearly it's not an injury that like fully stops you from playing. But I think he's just been playing through pain and pain relief for months and months and months. So we'll see. But apparently he's close to returning. So did you see the ESPN post comparing Ødegaard and Palmer? Go absolute dog shit. Yeah, look, I made a video today, to be honest, about the way that like mainstream media are really going in the wrong direction with their content because they're going down the road of just really bad rage bait, like the sort of stuff that you would expect from, you know, Twitter pages that have got Anthony Martial as their profile picture. And the way that these like, don't get me wrong, it will always get views. That sort of thing will always get views. But I feel like there's good views and bad views. And rage bait views for a mainstream broadcaster, like, there's just a place for it. There is kind of a food chain of football content. And for them, they've got the money to invest, right? They've got the money to invest in really good professional content. Getting people to run their social media that are basically just, football Twitter people, I just don't think it's sensible. And yeah, there was that TNT Sports one last night where they tried to make it about Arsenal and Porto, and it's just weird. United Trey getting mentioned on Rory Talks. Yeah, not just United Trey. Not just United Trey. We have over 150 in the house here. Get the likes up now. It costs you nada. Yeah, look, there's 160 of you actually. So if you could click the like button, if we can get to 100 likes as quickly as possible. So have a look at the like total right now. And if we're not at 100, please click the like button. That would be fantastic. Heck, I'd play Saka at right back and Sterling at right wing. It's going to be a whole lot over and underlapping anyway. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, but I see your point. Yeah, I see your point. They're trying to copy accounts like Paddy Power. They are, but you know what? Paddy Power knows where it is in the food chain. Like Paddy Power, for the longest time, like Paddy Power was the OG rage baiter. Like before rage baiters even existed, Paddy Power was doing it. And again, they're on the gambling side of things, so it's a different, it's a different kind of area where I think they can get away with it more. But for TNT to be doing it, it's just, it's just not great, is it? ESPN versus TalkSport are the biggest joke. Yeah, TalkSport aren't great either. TalkSport aren't great. Makes sense why Benny avoided international break. Maybe, but I think the Ben White international thing is a whole different kettle of fish. I don't think that's to do with his injury, personally. Saliba right back with Kivior and Gabby as our centre backs is also interesting. Yeah, I mentioned this yesterday, whether or not we could play Saliba at right back. It is risky. It puts him at more risk of getting injured. So I probably wouldn't do it. But like overall, if you had two Salibas, you'd play one of them at right back. I think he would do very well at right back. But yeah, we probably don't need to take that risk. Elsewhere, Zinchenko and Ødegaard's returns. Zinchenko, probably after the international break, if everything goes well. He's progressing really well. Martin is very difficult. I expected still with the boot and a lot of things, and he's working. Like, the English isn't great here, so I've been really trying to work out what this means all day. Because this is just verbatim what he said. I expected still with the boot and a lot of things, and he's working so hard and is feeling good and is pushing it, so it's difficult to give a timeline. So I don't know. Does that is he just saying that because Erdegaard was in a boot, he knew it was going to take a while, or is he saying I don't really understand? I don't understand what he means. But it's difficult to give a timeline, which isn't ideal. Just in the grand scheme of things, that he's not going to be back in the next couple of weeks. I don't think. But equally, maybe this is Arteta being Arteta, and we've got a Liverpool game not that far after the international break, and maybe he's playing into that. But it's not ideal. I was really kind of hoping it would be, maybe Arteta, Erdegaard's, close to training and he'll be back after the international. Like something like that would have been a lot nicer. But there we go. He was asked about. Excuse me. He was asked about Ramsdale's return. He said, I called him straight away when I got the news of his transfer, and he was really happy. He's a player that we loved a lot, very charismatic, and he really put his fingerprints here on the club and the way that he was. It'll be very good to see him. Lovely, lovely. Don't know if there was anything else that was particularly interesting, to be honest. More stuff. I mean, look, if you want to read this sort of stuff, it is quite interesting, but there's no point reading it out on here. Just about Saliba and Gabriel's partnership, how the team's evolved without Erdegaard, etc., etc. But you can go and read that for yourselves if you want to. It's on the Arsenal website. Tactical language barrier ambiguity. Yeah, basically. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts Partey at right back with Rice and Merino in midfield. Remember, he tried that a few games. I remember it. Oh, I remember him trying that at the start of last season. And I remember vividly thinking, I hope that never happens again. In fact, if I could be bothered to go to the effort of it, I would imagine at some point I tweeted, I never want to see this again. Much in the same way when I tweeted, I never wanted to see Cedric and Fabio Vieira as a right-hand side ever again. And fortunately, we never will. But no, for me, even within that, I almost feel like I'd rather see Rice at right back and Partey in midfield. I just don't think Partey has the athleticism anymore to play as a right back. What about exactly? What about Rice at right back? Partey and Merino at midfield. I'd almost prefer that, but all of those options for me come behind playing a defender there. I think we've got enough defenders that we don't need to be playing a midfielder there. I really do. So we'll see. We'll wait and see. I mean, my feeling is still one of Timber, White, and Tomiyasu will play. At this stage, I'd rather just start Nichols. Exactly. I'd prefer Rory at right back than Partey there. Hey, I can do a job. Listen. I'll tell you this. Out of me and Partey, one of us has played alongside Tony Adams at the Emirates at right back. And it wasn't Thomas Partey. So that's all I'm going to say. Put me at right back. Played there at school. Yeah, anyone could play at right back. Really. We've all done a stint there at some point when we weren't good enough for a proper position in the team. Your quad would go? My quad would go. My quad would go in the warm-up, realistically. But I'd soldier through the pain. I would summon my inner Ben White and I would play through it. No way they stuck you at right back. Well, no. So while the issue was, I'll tell you for free what the issue was. The issue was the game actually started whilst I was too busy making a TikTok in the changing room. So I came out. The game was already underway, so I kind of just ran on at right back. No, I played most of the game in right midfield in the end, actually. Missed a one-on-one. So after I missed the one-on-one, I thought, well, maybe I should have been at right back all along. Who'd get injured first, Partey or Rory? Yeah, it's a good point, actually. It's a good point. It's quite hypocritical for me to sit here and criticize Thomas Partey's injury history, which I'm about to do. I'm literally the next topic of conversation is me criticizing Thomas Partey's injury history. Incredibly hypocritical of me because I am a lot younger than Thomas Partey and realistically more injury prone. So I'm going to be a hypocrite. I'm going to be a hypocrite. Okay? Everything that is about to come is hypocritical. But we are going to talk about Thomas Partey and this potential new contract. So this was Graham Bailey on Thomas Partey today. Arsenal are ready to open contract talks with Thomas Partey with a 2-year deal understood to be on the table. Mikel Arteta and his coaching staff are huge fans of Partey, while the player's current priority is to stay at the club. And interestingly, that coincided with Mikel Arteta in the press conference saying that Thomas Partey came back this summer in the best condition he has ever been in at Arsenal. So, Arteta thinks that Thomas Partey was in the best condition he's ever been in at Arsenal, coming back this summer. And then suddenly we get this article from Graham Bailey talking about Thomas Partey signing or being offered potentially a new 2-year deal. And like I said, instant reaction was kind of, right? Because realistically, pretty much all of us in the summer thought, it was time for him to go or that we would be replacing him either this summer or next summer. But there is a world in which a new contract does actually make sense. Because as it stands, we're losing him for free next summer, right? As it stands, Thomas Partey, who realistically has held his own in Arsenal's team this season, he's a good player, right? We're losing him for free. If we sign him to a new 2-year deal, we could still sell him next summer. Now, the only way that works is if he takes a pay cut. And this is the biggest thing. Whether the long-term plan is to keep him playing at the club or it is to be able to sell him and get some money, he has to take a pay cut. Because we're not going to sell him if he's still on whatever he's on. What's he on at the moment? I think I'm right in saying he's on over 200 grand a week. I don't want to get this wrong. But I think I'm right in saying he is on he's on 200 grand a week. So, some places say 200, some say up to 220, right? So he's on 200 to 220 grand a week. Makes him one of our most expensive players. So, reduce the contract, reduce the wages, sell him potentially next summer, continue playing him, but on lower wages. I don't think it's the end of the world. Now, realistically, the start of this season's been good, right? I think he's been growing as the season has gone on. He's began to look more athletic as the season has gone on. I've been relatively impressed because I really just didn't think he'd play much at all this season anyway. If I really believed Thomas Partey could stay fit all season and he would stay fit next season, and look, not talking 100% fitness all season, but worst case, he has a few weeks off with an injury, fine. But I just don't know if I trust that will happen. And he's only getting older at this point as well. So it is a tough one. I think he's 32 next summer. So that contract, a 2-year contract starting next summer would take him from, 2025 to 2027. By the end of that, he'd be 34. But equally, by all accounts, we're losing Jorginho next summer. That leaves us pretty short. If you're looking purely at the 6-8 position, if you were to lose both Partey and Jorginho, that leaves you with Rice and Merino. And maybe Miles Lewis-Skelly. So, next summer, we're probably, we're going to have to buy bare minimum 2 midfielders. If you sell or you lose Partey on a free, that probably becomes 3 midfielders, potentially. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's one of those. It's not as bad as people thought or think on the surface. It wouldn't be the end of the world. Between him, Zinchenko, Jesus, that's a mad amount of wages for players that aren't guaranteed starters anymore. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Which is why I don't think we will give him a new 2-year deal on the same wages he's on now, or on, I mean, definitely not higher wages than he's on now. Would he even take a pay cut, though? If Saudi came calling, he'd get a pay rise and he'd get a signing bonus. So this is the thing, though. He doesn't want to go to Saudi. This is the, so he doesn't want to go to Saudi. He wants to stay in Europe. I would imagine if the Serie A clubs come knocking, which apparently some of them had showed interest before, there's no way the Serie A clubs are going to offer him 200 grand a week. So if his only option to stay in Europe is going to be to take a pay deduction anyway, then he may as well stay at the club he's already at. The options reportedly have already been there for Saudi, and he just absolutely does not want to go there. So unless someone from the academy makes the step up. Yeah, but I mean, there's no one really in that position other than Miles Lewis-Skelly, who was a 6, but it seems like now is becoming a sort of inverting left back. So my only concern is I hope this isn't Arsenal doing new deals for Partey means the same for Zinchenko and Jesus. We can't have all 3 of those players after next summer, and realistically, all should be gone by 2026. Yeah, I agree. Partey is the one that I can somewhat understand more than the other 2, though, because the other 2 have still got an extra year beyond. But yeah, I would sell both of them next summer, probably. Miles Lewis-Skelly left back, Calafiori right back. Yeah, but that's possible. Like I said, though, I'd probably go Lewis-Skelly at right back and Calafiori at left back, just because Lewis-Skelly's more comfortable. Adam Wharton. Yeah, I would like Adam Wharton. He's going to be expensive, though. He is going to be expensive. Make him play for the contract? Well, so that's the other thing. That's the other thing, by the way. Has this start to the season been there's a word for it. I can't remember what the word is. But has the start to the season that Thomas Partey's had been a contract audition? You know those ones where a player is... Marcus Rashford is the king of it. Marcus Rashford, the season before he wants a new contract, unbelievable. Gets the new contract, falls off a cliff. Is this Thomas Partey playing for a new contract? Maybe. If he doesn't go to Saudi, he will have to take a pay cut, needs must. Yeah, he'd have to. What do you expect to see from Sterling this season? Well, according to Arteta, he still needs to get fit. So the biggest issue with Sterling, supposedly, is that he came from Chelsea not at the fitness levels of the rest of the team, which is why he's not been starting games. For me, all I really want from Raheem Sterling, he's on the same wages that we were paying Reece Nelson last season, right? In terms of what we're actually paying, because Chelsea cover the rest. So for me, from Raheem Sterling, bare minimum, I want big impact off the bench. And I think he's kind of shown that already so far. Big impact off the bench. Then, okay, beyond that, if we get any injuries in those forward positions, I want Sterling to be able to step up. And I want it to be a higher level than Reece Nelson. Beyond that, I don't have huge expectations for him. Purely based on what we had seen at Chelsea. But I reckon in 2 to 3 years, Lewis-Skelly will be ready for the Partey role. Yeah, possibly. It'll be interesting if they try and... Because it feels like we're so covered defensively. It would be interesting if they try and morph Lewis-Skelly back towards a midfield role. Because we're so much more covered at fullback than we are in midfield. It seems weird to take a player who was kind of growing up as a midfielder and then moving him to left back. But Kimmich is on 350k a week. Yeah, I don't think Kimmich will happen now. For me, Kimmich last summer would have been the one, but there's a Scotsman playing for Napoli at the moment, looking very good. Yeah, didn't Scotty McTominay score? Scotty McTominay. Rory, respect Reece Nelson. I do respect Reece Nelson. What did I say then that was disrespectful to Reece Nelson? Bruno G and Rice midfield will probably be the best in the league. Yeah, I mean, Bruno G is always that option that I would like, but I don't know. Just don't think Newcastle need to sell. Musiala said something nice about Arsenal. Well, deal done. Deal done there. Musiala said something nice about Arsenal, so basically transfer confirmed. Nah, Musiala would be an amazing signing, but him and Wirtz, like, I just don't see it happening. You know, sometimes you just look at signings and you're like, I could see that happening. I couldn't see that happening. So I could see Mohamed Kudus happening. Couldn't see Florian Wirtz happening. Don't know why, just couldn't. Rudiger said something nice about Arsenal too. Yeah, he did. But I just hope Rudiger wasn't flirting with Saliba to try and get him to Madrid. That's the only problem. For the academy, Waneri plays as an 8 and Lewis Skelly plays as a 6. Yeah, they were, but then that's where they were playing. But then when it came to the senior team, Lewis Skelly's been practicing and preparing to be a left back for whatever reason. And to be fair, Waneri's been playing a little bit further forward as well. Reunite the Timber brothers and we are set. Yeah, maybe. No one saw Ozil happening. True. Gyökeres train. The Gyökeres train is still full steam ahead. I promise. Bruno G's head goes mid-game sometimes. I don't trust him to stay clear-headed for 90 minutes. It does, but Gabriel used to have that problem, and Arteta cured him. So I believe that Arteta could also cure Bruno G of that issue, because it is a bit of an issue. There are those sorts of players. I mean, I don't know if you saw it. So, we play against Preston in the Carabao Cup. One of their players has just been banned for 8 games for biting an opposition player. And I saw the video of it, and I'm like, these people have genuine issues. Like there has to be something. It's an issue, right? If you see the clip of this Preston player, like, I don't even know what they were arguing about, but he grabbed the opposition player from behind and just properly chomped into almost like his back, basically, like the top of his back. Absolute mental behavior. And he got an 8-game ban. And that's one of those ones where I look at it and I'm like, I actually do think you should just be arrested. Because if you went up to someone in the street and bit them, you would be arrested. And that has nothing to do with football. Like, him biting an opposition player actually has nothing to do with football. There is no justification for it at all. And so I'm like, okay, he's got an 8-game ban from football, but how can you get away? If in my job, I don't have a job. Well, fortunately, there's no one around here to bite. But when I used to work in an office job, if I just went up and bit one of the customers or one of my colleagues, I mean, I'd be sacked. I'd probably be arrested. But in football, it's just an 8-game ban. The Luis Suarez regen, yeah, it's crazy. It is kind of crazy how they get away with it. And it's all and I don't even know what the justification is. Like, if you actually said, why is he not being arrested? I genuinely don't know what the kind of legal reasoning would be. That when you're playing sport, it's just kind of, I don't know. It's quite hard to imagine signing the biggest prospects in football. We're so used to seeing us sign bums over the years that even someone like Rice was a huge signing. And to be honest, our only big recent one. Yeah, true. That might be the reason that it's hard to see us doing it, is because we're just not used to making big signings. But Ryan's going crazy. Did you see the Wrexham striker Mullins go to bite someone, then stopped himself the other week? Yeah, and he made a joke about it. But again, I mean, that's the thing. These people are just, to even have that, like, because he literally went to bite him, and then it was almost like as his teeth were about to clamp on, he was like, actually, I shouldn't do that. But I just don't know what would go through your head at any point on a football pitch to be like, I'm just going to bite a chunk out of him, to be honest. Just going to nom him. It's crazy. Do you rate Dusan Vlahovic? Arteta's a big fan. Yeah, I rate Dusan Vlahovic, yeah. I just don't want him at Arsenal. Pogba will be back next year, next March. What if we... No. We are not taking a 32-year-old Paul Pogba off the back of 2 years without football. We are not in a position where we need a 32-year-old Paul Pogba that hasn't played football in 2 years. Thank you very much. I would love it if he went back to United. That would be fantastic. We do not need that. If I was playing that Kavanagh game, I would get a ban, but the Trossard wouldn't have sent off next game. Yeah, well, yeah. Luckily, did bro just suggest Pogba? Yeah. He did. Luckily, our referee, do you know what, right? Genuinely, our referee this weekend, I've never heard of in my life. So I go into tomorrow's game with no agenda against the referee. He has an absolute clean slate because I have got no idea who he is. Never seen him before in my life. So he's got one chance to impress me. If he doesn't, then he will be added to the list of referees that I have an agenda against. But yeah, we've got a fresh ref. Players are trained to work on being decisive, so clearly they lose control of their intrusive thoughts. Yeah, exactly. Apparently, Mudryk has been sounding out Arsenal through the back channels. Good for him. Good for him. I'm not picking up the phone to Mudryk. Don't get me wrong. I like Mudryk, but it's not what we need. It's not what we need. Is there any Premier League ref that you don't dislike? Yeah, there are some where I don't think they're too bad. There are some that I don't think are too bad. Anthony Taylor, I'm not massively against. I think he's actually a pretty shit ref, but I don't think he's bad for Arsenal. I'm sure there are some others. Did you get a ticket to the game tomorrow? I did. Thankfully, a fellow content creator saw my plea on Twitter and came to the rescue. So that was ideal. Red card for Raya for using his hands tomorrow. We will be there. Yeah, exactly. Well, do you know what? Jared Gillett is recovering. I would say Jared Gillett is recovering because Aston Villa away last season, I thought he was the most horrific human being on planet Earth. So really, he was struggling at that point. He is making his way back because he's not been too bad since. 7 likes away from 100. Come on, chat. Yeah, there's 220 odd of you here. Just need 7 of you that haven't already clicked the like button to click the like button. So if you could do that, that would be fantastic. Do you think we'll sign anyone in January? I think it's possible. I think there might be. Do you know what? We've got room in the squad. We have room in the squad. We've not even the full list of players that we signed that we put through this season. We didn't even fill the full roster, so we've got room to sign players if we need them. So Jared Gillett is shit on VAR with Arsenal. He's a prick. Well, there you go. So, like I said, he's clawing his way back slowly. Okay, he is clawing his way back slowly. Thoughts on Paul Tierney? Bell end. Don't like Paul Tierney. And I'll tell you something for free about Paul Tierney as well. He didn't even need to go bold. He did not need to go bold. He just did it for the love of being one of the bold, fraudulent refs. And there's something dodgy going on with that as well. I've said this before. There's something dodgy with that. Because that's not normal. It's not normal how many of them are bold in the first place. But then to actively just go bold for the sake of it, something's up with that. I'm telling you for free. Tomiyasu needs to go, but he has to play against the Saints. Well, if he's fit, yeah. If he's fit. So they all look the same? Yeah, maybe. So that you just get jumbled up in your head as to which bold fraud is refereeing this week. I forgot that he reffed that game. Trossard brother was decent too. Yeah, the Champions League refs, the majority of Champions League refs I've got no problem with. The referee on Tuesday night, I thought he made a couple of mistakes, to be honest. There were a couple of decisions he made that I thought, that's a bit poor. But because he wasn't trying to be the star of the show, I didn't mind to. Like, I don't expect referees to be 100% bang on with every decision they make. It's Premier League refs are so annoying because they're just such dicks about the decisions that they do make. Even when they get it wrong, they're just dicks about it most of the time. CL refs are better? Yeah, 100%. 100%. Do you think teams in the Club World Cup getting their own transfer window in June will mean they need to sell in January to fund moves in June? I don't know. I don't know how this whole thing's going to work. If you didn't see this, there's going to be a mini transfer window at the start of June. for clubs that are, and I couldn't work out if it's only clubs that are playing that are allowed to do anything, or if it opens for every, like, I don't really know how it works, but basically from the 1st to the 10th of June, teams that are in the FIFA Club World Cup are going to be able to sign players that can then play in that tournament, when the main transfer window doesn't open till the 23rd of June. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. It's a weird one. That whole thing, by the way, that whole FIFA Club World Cup thing, shambles. Absolute shambles. They still haven't sold any TV rights. So, I don't know if you know how it works when you sell TV rights. Normally, it's done through a type of auction, a type of blind auction, right? Where you will bid for a package of broadcast rights. You don't know what anyone else is bidding. And if you have the highest bid, you win them. I think, is it called a Dutch auction? I think maybe. It's how they do the Premier League rights. So the Premier League games are split into 5 different packages. So you've got like lunchtime kickoffs on a Saturday. That's one package. TNT Sports normally wins it, but they bid for those packages completely blind to what anyone else is bidding. No one turned up for the Club World Cup. No one put a bid in. So it wasn't even like they had, it was a highest bidder won. No one bid for them. No one bid for it. It's got no sponsors. There's no main sponsor for the FIFA Club World Cup. It's absolutely in the mud. In the mud. And they've got a problem because FIFA had been promising the clubs participating, because realistically, like City, Real Madrid, they don't really want a competition, a club competition in the summer, because it's just terrible preparation for the following season. But they were promised big money. Like Chelsea were talking getting a minimum of like 50 million from competing in the FIFA Club World Cup. There's no money there. Without broadcast rights and without sponsorships, there is no money. But yeah, how it's going to work at the start, I'm not really sure. Let's get Cunha so Wolves get relegated. Why do you want Wolves to be relegated? I don't really want Wolves to be relegated. Could Rory put in a £1 bid and stream it on his channel? Imagine that. Rory Talks Football, the official rights holder of the FIFA Club World Cup. We could run the filthiest anti-Chelsea agenda during the FIFA Club World Cup. It'd be unbelievable. Saka the Goat, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Anyway, look, it is time for Guess the Goal Scorer. I'm going to give you all of the information about an Arsenal goal, and you have to tell me who the goal scorer was and the team that it was against. First person to get it right wins the immense pride and respect of all the RoryTalks Football community. Get your fingers on your keyboards because we're starting now. Here we go. This goal was scored with the right foot. It was assisted by Martin Ødegaard. It was scored in the first minute. It was scored at the Emirates. Arsenal won the game 3-2 in October 2022. Right-footed goal assisted by Martin Ødegaard in the first minute at the Emirates in a 3-2 win in October 2022. Who got it first? People were saying Martinelli. Who was the first person to say Martinelli with the right team? It was... It's a Ross Lawman win. It is a Ross Lawman win. It was indeed Martinelli against Liverpool. Jakob was second. Ryan was third. Spacetime was fourth. And Benji was fifth. There you go. Congratulations. That was, honestly, that was one of those goals where, especially because that season, like, that was still only October in the 22-23 season. So, we didn't know we were necessarily going to be in a title race, but we'd had such a good start to the season. And when Martinelli scored in the first minute, I was like, oh my God, it's happening. Wilsey has given confirmation. Goal given, Ross Lawman. Didn't forget the team like the other day. Yeah, you've not made that howler. You have not made that howler. Anyway, now it is time for Guess the Non-Gooner. I'm going to give you the entire career path of a player who does not and has not played for Arsenal. And you have to guess who that player is in the chat first and get it right with but not as much respect as Ross Lawman currently has. Saka was offside, wasn't he? Yeah, basically. This player started their career at AIK. Started their career at AIK. They went to Borussia Dortmund. They went on loan to Willem. They then went to Real Sociedad. They then went to Newcastle United. And that was the whole career so far. People got it rapidly. People did get it rapidly. But the first person to get it correct was Gooner. Gooner got it first. Vivi Vlad got it second. Francisco Oliveira got it third. Captain Nana got it fourth. And Matthew got it fifth. It was indeed Alexander Isak. Congratulations. Loads of you were getting it. A very easy one. A very easy one. Someone just needed to know the Dortmund link, and then you were away. But there you go. Congratulations. Very well done. Anything else to talk about? Don't think so. I think we're just going to go and enjoy our Fridays. Tonight, we'll be live on Twitch, 10:30 onwards. Foot champs. The first foot champs of FC24. It's going to be painful. It is going to be painful. So if you want to watch that, the link to the Twitch channel is down in the description below. Other than that, I might go live tomorrow night after the game. I might not. It depends how long it takes me to get home, how long it takes me to get the other content out, etc. Otherwise, we will be live on Big Up on Sunday for United versus Aston Villa. Aston Villa versus Man United, 2 o'clock on Big Up, formerly known as TIFO. We will be there for the watch along of that. So I hope to see as many of you there as possible. Link to that is also down in the description. But other than that, like, subscribe, do all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic evening. Have a brilliant weekend. And I will catch you all either later or tomorrow. Goodbye.